The story of Nike. The Nike swoosh has become a global symbol of excellence and success. This undisputed industry giant has risen through larger-than-life marketing campaigns, high-profile endorsements, and stylish designs to stand tall among competitors. But it started small. Did you know that Nike went public through an IPO in 1980, 18 years after Phil Knight started in the shoe industry with Blue Ribbon Sports? Learn about Nike's IPO history and its long refusal to go public. Do you want to know more? Make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The roots of Nike, the Blue Ribbon. The roots of Nike can be traced back to 1964 to Blue Ribbon Sports. It's time for you to envision this. Phil Knight had recently graduated from the University of Oregon, followed by a stint at Stanford for his MBA, leaving him with two pivotal experiences shaping his future. He ran for the University of Oregon's track and field team, which introduced him to their coach Bill Bowerman. Aside from his intensely competitive attitude, Bowerman was obsessed with optimizing his runner shoes, constantly experimenting with different models after learning from a local cobbler. Nike claims Knight was the first student to try on one of Bowerman's shoes. Bowerman offered to take one of his shoes and fix them with his custom design, seeing him as a safe and trivial runner to test his shoes on. Knight accepted the offer, and the shoes allegedly performed so well that his teammate Otis Davis took them and used them to win gold in the 400-meter dash at the 1960 Olympics. Otis Davis still contended that Bowerman made the shoes for him. Knight had the opportunity to put this theory to the test with a trip to Japan shortly after graduating in 1962. He struck an agreement with a group of Japanese businessmen to sell the country's popular Tiger shoes in the United States. Coach Bowerman, who had long believed that German shoes, while the best on the market, were not too special to be replicated or even improved upon, backed Knight's venture, entering into a 50-50 business deal for ownership of their new company, Blue Ribbon Sports, which was founded on January 25, 1964 in Eugene, Oregon. The incredible history of Nike. After establishing Blue Ribbon Sports, Knight tested the waters with his imported shoes, initially selling them out of his car when he returned to the United States. It quickly became apparent that there was a demand for these less expensive but still high-quality alternatives to the market's dominant Adidas and Pumas. Bowerman, ever inventive, proposed a new shoe design to the Tiger Shoe Company in 1965, one that strived to provide the proper support for runners with a cushioned inner sole, soft sponge rubber in the forefoot and top of the heel, tough sponge rubber in the middle of the heel, and a firm rubber outsole. This design was a massive success and a source of argument between Blue Ribbon and its Japanese supplier. The Tiger Cortez was released in 1967 and quickly became a hit due to its comfortable, sturdy, and stylish design. However, Blue Ribbon and Tiger's relationship soured around the time of its success. Knight claimed that the Japanese company was trying to sink the company to get out of its exclusivity treaty with Blue Ribbon. Tiger argued that they discovered Blue Ribbon Sports selling their version of the Tiger Cortez under the brand Nike. In any case, the two formally separated in 1971, prompting Tiger to file a lawsuit. A judge eventually ruled that both companies should sell their model versions, resulting in the Nike Cortez and Tiger Corsair becoming the only sneaker to become best-selling models for two different shoe companies. Following the division with Tiger, Blue Ribbon Sports rebranded as Nike. Yes, it was a rebirth of a whole new brand. Phil Knight wanted to name the company Dimension 6, but thankfully, Jeff Johnson got the inspiration for Nike after encountering the Greek goddess of victory's name in a dream. But first, the new brand required its logo. Carolyn Davis, a design student at nearby Portland State University, was contacted to provide sketches. Phil Knight reluctantly decided on a swoosh design, reportedly saying, "Well, I don't love it, but maybe it will grow on me." Davis charged $2 per hour and was paid $35 for the logo. Phil Knight, who had come around to the logo, hosted a party for Davidson in 1983 and gave her 500 shares of stock, estimated to be worth about $1 million today. The Let's Do It campaign. The shoe was a huge success for Nike. the first of many as the company maintained solid and steady growth throughout its early days, culminating in its 1980 IPO, which immediately made Phil Knight a millionaire with $178 million in shares. Since then, the company has only grown and benefited partly from a series of clever ad campaigns, most notably the 1988 Just Do It ad campaign, inspired by American murderer Gary Gilmore's last words before the firing squad, "Let's do it." Who knew it would become one of their significant association marks? The era of success, 1980 and public eye. This was the ultimate year described as the year Nike went public through an IPO, 18 years after Phil Knight first entered the shoe industry with Blue Ribbon Sports. Nike was quite fed up with the slow pace of US customs, and their fine went on the offensive. First, Nike introduced the One Line, a low-cost nylon shoe. The import duties were calculated using an identical shoe as the pricing benchmark, resulting in the $25 million prize. They even reduced the claim by using their shoe as a comparison. Next, they created a TV ad that explained the story of the small Oregon company fighting the big bad government. It claimed that being forced to do so was utterly un-American. Finally, Nike filed an antitrust lawsuit for $25 million against rival rubber companies that conspired to cripple them. With so much pressure, US Customs decided to move on. They began settling discussions, initially for $20 million, then for $15 million. Phil refused to pay anything, even though they must have resolved this to go public, and they should have been shared to survive. The company eventually agreed on a final figure, $9 million. Phil disliked it, but he accepted it anyway. He mused as he wrote the check that Nike had come a long way since he wrote his $1 million review to pay Nisho in 1975. Previously, he didn't have $1 million. The company was able to go public, but Phil was still afraid that losing control of Nike through an IPO would destroy Nike's customs. Their solution was to issue two classes of stock: ordinary B shares with 1 vote and preferred Class A shares with 34 votes for the current team. The era of new product line. Nike had a successful first half of the 1990s. In 1990, the company's revenues surpassed $2 billion and they acquired Tetra Plastics Inc., which manufactured plastic film for shoe soles. The same year, Nike opened its first full-service Nike store, Niketown in Portland, Oregon. Niketown centralized the sale of all Nike products. In addition, the company relocated to Beaverton, Oregon to its new 8-building world headquarters. Nike's Air shoes in partnership with Michael Jordan enabled them to overtake Reebok in the United States market. The good news kept coming when their efforts to penetrate the European market finally paid off. Nike's revenue from European sales peaked at $1 billion, and by the end of 1991, the company was only second in the market. Nike celebrated its 20th anniversary debt-free with more than $3.4 billion in revenue worldwide in 1992. In addition, they opened a second Niketown retail store in Chicago. Niketown expanded further in 1993, opening chain stores across the United States. It was just a year of expansion, growth, and profitability. Nike became a lifestyle brand. The troubles of the 1980s taught Nike that they needed to expand beyond being just a sportswear brand. Nike partnered with Mike Ovitz's Creative Artists Agency in the mid-1990s as part of its long-term business strategy to create and package sports events under the Nike brand. Nike competes directly with sports management behemoths such as ProServe, IMG, and Advantage International. Nike also began intruding on the lives of its sponsored athletes by negotiating sporting, investment, and apartment contracts. While others in the sports world were outraged by the invasion, Nike argued that it was part of their campaign to show that Nike was more than just a product. It was a style of living, comfort, and success. Acquisition and addition. Nike was doing well internationally and locally up until the end of 1995, scoring deals with various companies and individuals. The company partnered with CanStar Sports Inc., a leading skates and hockey equipment manufacturer, in 1994. The canister was renamed Bauer and was eventually folded into Nike's new equipment division. Nike expanded its product line to include protective gear, watches, eyewear, and sports balls. Tiger Woods signed a $40 million endorsement contract with Nike in 1995, which would later prove to be one of Nike's most financially rewarding endorsements after Michael Jordan. It was a win-win. Important for you to know. What's extremely interesting about Nike's journey is its ability to accurately identify problems in its business model and adapt to survive. When cash flow became an issue, they resolved it by going public. When their customers' preferences shifted, they created new products, expanded their service, and increased their marketing efforts. Nike continues to use the same strategies to this day. They focus on high-quality marketing campaigns, sports and celebrity endorsements, and innovative technology to make their shoes better and more advanced. Lessons for entrepreneurs from Nike's incredible journey. Strong social media presence. Nike has amassed a massive social media following, with over 160 million followers on Instagram and over 8 million followers on Twitter, by creating fun and inspirational posts to attract customers. Customers can contact Nike by tagging the account, complaining, or singing their praises under all posts. Nike will usually respond to negative comments to smooth things over. Inclusivity. Nike's mission is to be a leader in advancing diverse and inclusive teams, and they strive to build a platform on diversity and belonging. The Nike Go Fly Ease hands-free sneakers is one of its newest products. This shoe, designed for parents with full hands or people with a debilitating disability, filled a void in the footwear market for those unable to put shoes on with their hands. Furthermore, Nike is a staunch supporter of racial equality, featuring men and women of all genders and races in their commercials and social media posts. Celebrity collabs. Nike has partnered with some of the most well-known athletes, including Michael Jordan and Maria Sharapova, and influencers including Kanye West and Travis Scott to reach consumers worldwide. Kanye West collaborated with the company to create the Nike Air Yeezy collaboration. The Yeezy collection debuted in 2009 and was the first collaboration that did not involve an athlete. The shoes were instantly successful and were promoted by other celebrities, including Jay-Z, who mentioned them at a concert. Michael Jordan's Nike Air Jordan shoes were the subject of one of the most famous brand endorsement deals in history. To sum up, in summary, Nike's journey offers advice to future leaders, encouraging them to pursue a calling rather than a job or profession. Doing so will make stress bearable, disappointments into fuel, and peaks unlike any emotion ever felt before. At the same time, entrepreneurs should climb towards the challenges they face, even if it is steeper than ever. According to Knight, the free enterprise continues to face challenges. This has always been the case and will continue to be so. However, this does not mean one should give up. He emphasizes the importance of chance in his success. And apart from that, entrepreneurs should be ready to take risks with open arms, just like they would welcome success. That said, great minds, effective decision-making, passion, and resilience are some factors that have upscaled the success of Nike. This is what entrepreneurs of today should also implement. So, what do you think about this video? Comment below and share this with everyone to prosper. Keep watching for more such content.